All right, well, Jonathan, that's nice to meet you. How are you?
Mate. Yeah, very well, very well. Nice to be here.
Yeah. It's I'm just saying, it's been a while since I've done an in-person interview. So apologies for the sound, the sort of cafe atmosphere and whatnot, but
adds to it.
It does. So I was going to ask you this first question, but you've already answered it when we were talking downstairs.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you do you listen to the K League United podcast?
Yes, I have for a long time. As I said to you downstairs, we've had a history of Australians playing in the K League, so I've always been a interested listener and watcher of the podcast, and always been keen to keep across how the boys are going overseas, and especially in Korea. And now that I'm here, I'm obviously exposed to it a lot more. So it's been great, and nice to be here finally on the podcast.
Well, the reason why I asked is because a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I mentioned you on the podcast, and a couple of days later, you followed me on Instagram. I was like, wait a minute, does he listen?
Yeah. Well, maybe not. No. I think I'd heard that one. It was kind of might have been towards the start of the season. I can't remember, but and then but also there's other Australians that have mentioned you in the past in your podcasts, and I mean, you guys are across everything, and obviously for me it's easy because you guys speak English, so then it becomes quite easy to follow. I mean, now we're here, right? Like we're doing the podcast.
Well, it's always humbling to know when the players and their families and whatnot listen. Keeps us on our toes.
Of course,
I think.
Best way.
Well, I must admit, when I saw the news that Pohang were going to sign you, before the announcement was made, we were all trying to guess how they would register your name. Would it be like Jonathan Meters? Maybe I thought maybe they got a bit sort of left field, and then obviously Aspro.
Maybe.
So was that something that they asked you about, or did they just say you're going to be Aspro? Or
they originally asked me, and because of 10 years in Australia, I had the full name on my back. I've got Greek heritage. So my grandparents were born in Greece. They migrated to Australia, and so I'm kind of proud of that, and so I've always had the full name on my back, and the commentators in Australia always called me by my full name, as hard as it was, in every single action. But when I moved to Korea, I asked me if I wanted the full name on the back. I said yes. Then my agent said to me, look, I know that's how you've had it for a long time, but I think for the media in Korea and all, it's just better that you have Aspro. And I kind of sat with it for a few hours, and I thought, you know what, like maybe my family's not going to be too happy or anything like that. So I explained it to them, and so I went with Aspro. But it just ends up being easier for everyone. Obviously the long name's a bit of a tongue twister. So Aspro is good, and I mean that's what I'm referred to here, which is so good.
Fair enough. Right. Well, obviously you've. It sounds like you've been keeping tabs on the K League for even many years before you arrived here. So obviously you knew quite a lot about the K League and Pohang as well.
I think with recently with the success that kind of Alex Grant had here, and how well he did, that kind of got coverage back home, and especially in the football world. So everyone in the football world knew about most people anyway knew about Pohang and the size of the club, and that it had success in the past, and now recently we've won a couple of cups, so that kind of gets traction if you're winning. But then as well, like I said before, we've always had a history of Australians playing in the K League. The last 10-15 years we've had a lot of guys come here and do really well. So again, that gets traction overseas, and the lure of playing in a league that can propel you to other big leagues around the world or in Asia, is always a kind of a lure for Australian players. So we've always kept an eye on it. I mean, me especially, I love football, love keeping across everything, and it's always something I've kept an eye on. So
What's Pohang like as a place to live?
It's a lot different to Seoul. It's a lot different to a lot of parts of Korea, I'd say. But I think it has its distinct qualities. That it's not too busy. It's quiet. Some people can say there's not much to do, but at the same time, like, we kind of find solace in that, because we finish training, it's not hustle and bustle around the city or anything like that, or traffic to get home. We have an easy time getting home. We have a easy kind of way of life, and we have a tight-knit community in Pohang, and it's always people coming up to you and asking for photos, autographs, because that's kind of the community that it is. It's a small city. So the people get behind it, and that kind of speaks to how the club is as well. Like the club's very tight, the club's very close knit. It's a family club. It's a hard-working club, blue collar. So they feed off that as well. So in terms of living in the city, it's not as bright as a Seoul or a Ulsan or a Daejeon, but it's got its perks as well. Like I love the quietness of it as well. Like you can just travel anywhere and not have any traffic or anything like that. So it's good.
I think that's what you want as well as for young single players. Seoul might be the place to be, but if you're with someone and you got a long-term partner, then a seaside city, can't argue with that.
That's the other perk. Sorry, I forgot to say. We got some nice beaches. So now in the summertime when it starts to warm up, I like to go down to the beach. I'm from Australia, so we have a lot of our beaches. So that's something that kind of resonates with home a little bit. So love the city, and has its own little perks, which is great.
So where did the move come from then? Were you looking to come over to K League, or just to move away from the A League, or?
I played in the A League for like I said before, for 10 years, and I was 27 when I came over. But at the time I was playing regularly, but I was kind of resigned to the fact that maybe I was going to be in the A League for the rest of my career, because I had tried to move to the K League before, and deals had kind of fallen over last minute, or there wasn't interest. So I just kind of resigned myself to the fact that maybe it's not meant to be, and I'll just be in the A League. I'll be in my home city in Sydney, which was great. So but like many things in Korea, things work very quickly, and they're very efficient people. They get things done very quickly. So it was just after Boxing Day, and I knew Pohang were looking for a defender because Alex Grant had just moved to China. So they had a few options. They were looking for an Australian as well. So I knew that was in the background. But again, I hadn't got my hopes up because kind of been let down a fair few times. It was just after Boxing Day. They called my agent, and within 5 or 6 hours it was all done. And that's how. And I remember saying at the time, like, geez, they're so efficient. Like they're so they get things done quickly. Fast forward 18 months, and that's just how they live their life, right? Like whether it's the train system, whether it's removing furniture from someone's place, they get things done very quickly, and that's just part of their culture, which I love actually.
I remember I took a computer in. I first arrived in Korea, and my computer broke. The hard drive was knackered. I took it to Samsung, and they're like, sorry, this might take a while to fix. I was like thinking like 2 weeks of it, because in the UK, that's what I'm expecting. It's like 4 hours. I was like, mate, that's fine. That's
done.
Like, that's not a long time.
And you're just surprised. Like, you've got to wait 4 hours. If they think it's a long time. we think we've got to wait 2 weeks.
It's like
wow, okay.
Expectations, So who were the clubs then, if you don't mind me asking, that maybe you interested in the past, but it fell through?
So when I was at Perth Glory, Seoul Elan, I was very close to going to Seoul Elan. So that was actually during COVID. So I was playing in the Asian Champions League. We had played a game against Ulsan, and Seoul Elan were very close. So that kind of fell over right at the last hurdle. I started putting in my head that I was going to be going to Seoul, and then it kind of fell over. Another one a couple of years ago was Suwon Blue Wings. So they were looking for someone at the time, and so that was late 2023, I think. Late 2022. That fell over. And then I think after that, I kind of felt like, alright, whether it's Korea, whether it's Japan, whether it's Thailand, or wherever I kind of wanted to go, I just felt like, okay, it's not gonna. You kind of feel like your luck's out a little bit. So as I said before, resigned to the fact that I thought I was going to be playing in Australia. This came up, and it's been the best thing that's happened to my career, being able to experience South Korea.
Well, obviously you've kept in contact with lots of lads who come over here and whatnot. But were there any that you spoke to before you made the move, before you made the decision to sign? Who did you speak to?
Yeah, so one of my best mates, I mean, in general, is Aaron Calver. So we played together at Western United in Australia and Perth Glory. So yeah, we had a really good relationship then, and he came over to Gwangju 2 years before I signed for Pohang. So he had quite a good experience. Obviously, we had many Australians before that, so you hear bits and pieces.
Yeah.
He was kind of the first one that I'd spoken to, at length about the little details about what it's like living here, what it's like to play here, the little idiosyncrasies of how they do things, and the football and how different it is, and the different level of kind of quality and all that sort of stuff. So, and the way of life in general. So he was kind of the one that I'd spoken to a lot. And then when I signed, he kind of just relayed a lot of things to me, don't be surprised if you see this, don't be surprised if you see that, or this is probably going to happen, you're going to have to look out for this, and you're going to have to pay your health insurance at this time, and so all those little things he helped me out with. And then he was in Daejeon last season and this season, and so it was only an hour a train for me, so we'd meet up once every couple of weeks, because as I said, my partner was in Australia, and he was alone too, so we'd meet up quite a bit, and he was the kind of point of reference for me. But now that he's gone,
hopefully he finds a club again in the K League. You never know.
He deserves it. He's he's had a long kind of stint in career now, 4 years. It's a good stint for a foreigner, but I still think he's got some football here, because he's proven obviously over many years that he's got the ability to play in K1, and then he won a title in K2 as well. So wherever that is, so hopefully someone picks him up.
You're always just at the mercy of the coach. Like obviously a different coach signed him. New coach comes in, and then
change of opinions, and that's football. That's football, I guess.
Were there any sort of real culture shocks when you came over? Obviously, you would have heard a lot about certain things, but anything that you were expecting?
I mean, in the last 18 months, there's been a lot of things that I haven't expected. But I mean, from a football point of view, I had played against the Korean clubs in the Champions League before, so I knew the level of kind of quality. To the extent of which, when I got to training, and the speed and the intensity of training, that I didn't realise. So that took a few weeks to kind of get up to speed with, and I wasn't shocked, but I was surprised in the level of intensity and the training that they trained with. So that was kind of one shock on the. But once I kind of you get adjusted to that, they give you time, and you kind of adjust to that pretty quickly. Off the field, the biggest adjustments probably, I think in Australia, when you speak in your own language, it's very easy to kind of do things on your own and do things kind of the way you want to do it. And if you want to go down to a restaurant, you can, because you can order in your language. One of the first times I went to a Korean barbecue, I found myself stuck because I couldn't order any meat because I didn't know what to say. So I ended up ringing my translator saying, "Hey mate, like, how do I order? Can you just..." So I'm past the phone to the waiter, and he's going, "Oh, he wants pork, he wants salad, he wants the egg." So that was kind of the biggest. And after that moment, I was like, "Wow, like I need to try and at least know how to order." Little idiosyncrasies about just ordering something, or going to the local shops and just knowing how to kind of do things. So that was kind of the biggest cultural things, knowing that you couldn't just do everything the way you wanted it in your own language. But as I said, like Pohang, such a helpful club, and everyone was just on board to try and help, which was great.
It's little things like going to the bank or the post office. It's like you have to sort of rehearse a script in your head first before you go in. It's like, you can't just go in, can I send this letter? It's like,
got to do this, got to do this. It's like I had some things sent over from my partner's mother, sent some like a a care package. So she sent like some Australian stuff for Tim Tams and shapes and honey and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, as I was getting sent to Korea, you need like a social security number to break at the customs, to clear customs.
Yeah.
Where I guess in some other countries, someone comes from overseas, they just kind of tick it off. There's nothing bad in it. Tick it off, and it kind of just goes through. We're here, so you need the customs clearance number. So it stopped for the package stopped for 2 weeks because I'm trying to get this number.
Yeah.
My translator had the number because he's obviously a local, and so he put the number in. Then it was another week to process that, and so it's all those little things, like you said, because I couldn't communicate that to them.
Yeah.
I then need to rely on other people, and that's fine, I guess. But you kind of want to do it on your own in that accord. So yeah, a little bit. It can be frustrating because I want to do it in my language, but that's just not how it is, right?
Yeah. Well, the customs clearance thing, somebody stole my number. So I was getting messages about stuff. I was like, I have not ordered any of this. This is not me. And I was trying to. It was so hard, even for my wife to help me try and report this. Go round and round in circles on the website. In the end, it just kind of stopped. So it seems to have, I don't know, the guy stopped using it. But still, it's like things that you don't even think about become an issue.
Sure. 100%.
Well, you mentioned about the level of intensity among the players. First impressions of the K League then. We already mentioned that, but just from the other teams, tactically, was there anything that you sort of were expecting, or what were your first impressions of that?
Yeah, as I said before, playing against the K League teams in the Champions League, we always, as Australian teams, always found it hard, and you always had to be at your 100% best, tactically, physically, mentally, to win games. I remember we won a game away in Seoul in 2016, 17, and I just remember leaving the field exhausted, they throw everything at you, and you're like the inferior team, and you try and hold. We won 3-2, but you're holding out. They're giving everything. Tactically, they're so good. Physically, they go right to the end. And that's the thing in the K League, right? You get to the 85th minute, and the game just becomes this open free for all, where anyone can score at any time, and you've got to be on red alert. So. I think with the K League, especially this year, and last year too, a lot of the teams are very close together. Anyone can beat anyone on any given day. Yeah. Given that there's 12 teams, it isn't a 16-team or 18-team competition. But given that there's 12 teams, everyone's quite close together in quality. Obviously, you look at the table now and you think, well, there's a few teams that are kind of lower on points, and there's you've got Jumbo absolutely flying at the moment. But, we played Daegu last week and we drew 1-1, and they put up a really good fight. Yeah. So there's a closeness in quality, I think, and in Korea it's just really just moments and taking those opportunities. So the games are very close tactically. And every team's got a certain way of playing, but the games are very tactical here, I find. And except for the last 10 minutes where it just opens up. And as a defender, you need to be on red alert. So, which is interesting for the fans, which is exciting. Yeah. As a defender, not really. Yeah. But that's probably the thing I'd say, is that the closeness of the teams is quite prevalent. So that's been a big surprise for me.
What do you think of the little sort of quirks the K League has, like the foreign goalkeeper ban, which is obviously going to be lifted from next year? Yeah. The under 22 rule as well. Yeah. And the split system. What do you think of all those kind of things?
Yeah, I love the split system. You mentioned that. I really feel like that's a platform that a lot of leagues around the world can use. I feel like it's a thing that the A-League can use. We have a final system, much like America, where it's kind of knockout. I think if we can get to a stage in Australia where we have a top 6 system and we play against each other, that would be fantastic. The under 22 rule, I think, it's something that I've obviously been in for a while now, and I think when it's put to kind of best use, it's so beneficial for that player. Yeah. For example, we had Ulsan, our number 37. He was our under-22 player last year, along with Lee Tae-ha.
Yeah.
So they're our under-22s, and they've played a lot of games and they've benefited from that. Obviously, Tae-ha's in the national team now, but I think when it's used really, really well, it's quite beneficial for the player and for the club. When it's kind of not used well, then it's kind of just a means to an end, really, and just a kind of substitution for a substitution.
Yeah.
Even for us now this season, we've had a few boys really benefit from the under-22 rule, and not just that, because also the coaches put trust in them to play, and we've given a lot of under-22s minutes this year, which has been fantastic, and for the club perspective as well. That means that they can potentially sell on those players, and so I think the rule's great when it's used kind of the right way. Those are the little quirks which are great. So, and I guess the other one, this year we've got a lot of breaks this year, which is like now, after next weekend we've got 3 weeks without a game. The month after that is 2 weeks without a game. So this year's been a little bit interesting with the breaks, etc. But it is what it is. You've got to deal with that.
Yeah, really busy May, June.
Yeah.
And there's more midweek games in July, but like you said, there's breaks for the EAFF and the All-Star break and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why they can't. It's like it's still only June, and we're now past the halfway point of the season. Still
ages.
Yeah,
still a long way to go in terms of months.
Yeah,
but it's the same amount of games that we've already played. But that May period, I think we played 9 games, including the FA Cup.
Yeah,
and then you go a stretch in August when you might play like 2 or 3. So interesting.
And then when it gets to the end of the season, the real the exciting part of the season, you have the break in September for internationals, then October, then there's one in November. I know it's not the K League's fault, obviously, but it's just like when you want games to keep coming, then they stop. So we'll have the round 33, last game before the split, then there'll be a break. And it's like you're gonna wait then before the split starts.
It's just as I said, it is what it is. Got to deal with it and move forward, I guess.
Well, obviously your home stadium, the Steel Yard, is kind of iconic in K League. It was like the first football-specific stadium in the country. What's that like? How does that rank in terms of the stadiums where you played in?
Yeah, I love it. It's definitely right up there. Personally, I like the small, compact stadiums. I love Daegu's stadium. I think that's a fantastic stadium, like football specific, and 12,000 people just crammed in. It just feels like every game's sold out. At the Steel Yard, again, if we get 8,000-9,000 people, which is what we tend to get, it feels like it's full. The noise, the atmosphere. I know away teams don't like coming to Pohang. I mean, they know it's a long trip, but then also the stadium's quite daunting. We've got great fans as well. Our fans travel absolutely everywhere, so we love them for that. But then at our home games, it makes so much noise, and the atmosphere is quite, for an away player, it's quite intimidating. So we kind of feed off that as home team players. But to answer your question, I love it. My first game there, I was kind of taken away because, again, everything just kind of traps you in, the noise, the atmosphere. When you're getting on a roll, the kind of crowd almost, it's weird to say, but the crowd almost kind of pushes the ball in. They have this energy, this force that they, when you've kind of got this momentum, this attack, and the ball's going in the box, and it's quite endearing because they've had that for obviously many years now, and being the first football stadium, that's what they've kind of fed off. So, and that feeds into how they are, how we are as a club as well. So, I love playing in that stadium.
Well, I went there for the first time on the first game of the season, and finally got it ticked off. But I found it looked different and more intimate than it looks like on TV. And there's not. You don't have to go far from being outside to inside. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, I don't know what I expected, but it was really even smaller and tiny, but in a good way.
You're right. That's what I think. I think it's when people look at it from the outside, they probably think, it's just another stadium. You get inside and you're actually in a steel factory. You're in and amongst a steel factory. Like the stadium's inside inside a massive precinct. So you blink and you kind of miss it because you actually can't see it from the main road. So it makes it very intimidating for other teams, which is great for us.
I think the problem with the away fans have with that stadium is getting back to the train station. Because I nearly missed my train back.
Oh, really?
So I purposely didn't do the mix zone because I knew that I wouldn't have time. So I tried to get Hojay before the game, and I got a player from, I think I got Gutek before as well. Because I knew I wouldn't have time. I had an hour and a half to get from the station to the station. And I got a lift off a friend who I just bumped into him by chance. But the traffic was so bad on that road.
Getting over that bridge.
Only just got there in time. It was like,
And then that's maybe why away fans don't want to travel, because they know it's fast, and then that helps us because less away fans, which is great for us. But I love playing in that stadium. Great.
Well, I think I'm right in thinking that you signed the new contract at the end of last year. Is it right? So, were you given any sort of assurances about playing time, or because you didn't play perhaps as much as you wanted the first year? Was that conversation had?
No, not really. If I'm being really honest, I think it was just down to the way I kind of, I'd kind of performed. I came in the first games that I played for the club. I had my position, and first game of the K League I got sent off. So that's just a byproduct of myself and the mistakes that I made. Luckily enough, last season the club stood by me through that. I see a lot of foreigners. If they do get a red card, or if they do have poor performances in their first year, they kind of get shunned, and that's kind of it. That's it for them. I was very lucky with the coach that I've got and the club that I have, is that they kind of stuck by me in that time. I found my way back into the team, but then quickly found myself back out in the middle part of the season. In my own mind, I thought I was kind of finished and I was done at the club, because I was kind of down the pecking order, around June, July. But again, the club, my agents reassured me that the club was standing behind me. They knew there was an adjustment period. I had got reassurances from Alex Grant that he had gone through some similar things, and he had an injury, and his first year wasn't all rosy, so the club will stand by you, no problem. And that gave me a lot of confidence. I started to play the last 3-4 months of the season, and I got a lot of confidence from that. And it ended up with an FA Cup and the final, and playing in the Asian Champions League, which was great. And that led to the new contract. So I guess the club's faith in me kind of shone in the end, because they stayed really patient with me, which I'm grateful for. I think when you sign for anyone, there's no reassurances around kind of playing time. If you get your chance, you need to perform. I did that in the last 3 or 4 months of the year. In the first probably 6 months, I didn't take it as well as I probably wanted to, and that led to me not playing as much. But when I kind of did take the chance at the end of last season, we were able to win the cup, and it's probably probably the best moment of my career, to be honest. So, and such a big day for the club, going six FA Cups, which was history. So, and then so as I said, going on playing time and all that, you sign for a club, and there's going to be kind of competition, so you've got to kind of work your way through that, which is football.
What's the coach like there in terms of? Will he sort of speak to you directly about, okay, I will lead you out this week, that kind of thing? Because I know that some managers, maybe they can hide behind the language barrier and maybe sort of use that as an excuse not to be open with their players. What's the coach like at Pohang in that regard?
Yeah, to be honest, he's been open. Kind of at times when some last year when things kind of haven't been going too well, and when I haven't played and all that, so he can speak a little bit of English, which is great, and so sometimes I don't need the translator to translate what he's saying to me. But then there's other times where he doesn't explain, why I'm not playing or anything like that. But I think at the same time it's kind of normal. As a player, you feel like you need to be explained for all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you want an explanation because why am I not playing and why am I not doing this? And there's times when you feel like you're justified for an explanation, and sometimes you don't get it. And I think that's just part of kind of football. And sometimes he does tell me why I'm not playing, or sometimes he will tell me, you're going to play the next game, you know. So he does give me that confidence at times, but there's other times where I would want an explanation, but he doesn't feel he needs to give it, or he has his own reasons for not coming up to me. So, and that's, as I said, that's every coach is different. That's part of football. I think the quicker you kind of accept that, the better you are kind of moving forward. I think if you're kind of waiting for an explanation all the time, which would be fantastic in an ideal world, but if you're kind of waiting for it all the time, you're kind of living in the past of, why wasn't I this and why wasn't I that? And it's not to say that every time I don't play, I agree with his decision. Most of the time I don't. I say every time I don't play, I don't agree with his decision. But I don't think he'd expect me to agree, but I think he expects me to kind of act in the right way and all that sort of stuff. So it's just about kind of reacting in the right manner, and then adhering to the decision and kind of moving on. So even if you don't accept it.
Yeah. When Dong-hee got injured, you must have been thinking, this is my chance now. Yeah. I've got a slot in the team. You have to be obviously patient. And you have been playing a bit more recently, but then you have the Honso, is it? He's sort of
he's doing really well.
Doing well.
Yeah, he's doing really well. Yeah. So I mean, when Dong-hee went down, I played the next game against Jeongbuk, and played that game, and then found myself out of the squad for 6 weeks. So again, that's one of the things that you kind of, I guess, I was a little bit baffled by it, because you kind of think, what's happening? Do they want me anymore? So you get all those questions in your head, because you go from playing a game to then being left out for 6 weeks, and out of the squad, not even on the bench. So you're kind of like, what's happening? And that's, I guess, where you kind of would want an explanation, but he didn't give me one, and I'm not. You're not going to kick stones for 6 weeks. No. It's like, what? Okay, I don't. It's weird that you go from playing to 6 weeks out, but you know what? I've got to be ready for my next chance. And it came 6 weeks later against Ulsan. I had to put my best foot forward, and then from then I started to kind of play again a little bit. So, as I said before, you might not accept that kind of decision, or you might be a little bit baffled by it, but I think the important thing is the reaction and the work that you kind of do after. You can kind of, as I said, you've got kind of two options. You can kind of kick stones for 6 weeks and just say, why is it me, and why is it this, and why is it that, or you can kind of just, knuckle down, work hard, and you might not be in the most ideal situation, but you've kind of got to be ready for the opportunity. And the time that the day before the Ulsan game, he came up to me and he said, I'm going to give you an opportunity again. I said, okay, no problem. So then he played me, and since then I've kind of played a few more games than what I had thought in that 6 week in that 6 week period. But it's I guess you need to. You see things, especially here, that you need to kind of, you might think you might be baffled by, but you kind of just got to get on with it, and I think that's one thing for foreigners here is you might see some different things that you won't see in your country, and I think that's normal because of the cultural differences in every single country. I think understanding that, adhering to that, just accepting it for what it is, and just moving on, I think that's the best thing you can kind of do.
Yeah. I always think it's interesting when a foreign player, for example, is not even in the squad.
Yeah.
Because I must admit, when I look at a Pohang lineup, I always look for your name. It's like, is he starting? Is he in the squad? And it's like, so I saw that you started the game before. I was like, great, he's back in the team. And then the next game he weren't in the squad, I was like, he's not even on the bench. I don't understand. Because I want players to come here and have a good experience, right? So you want foreign players to, be important parts of the team and then enjoy their time here. And it's kind of like baffling when it's not even in the squad, not even on the bench.
And I'm the same as well. I kind of look for Australians, I kind of look for them on the team sheet and see if they're playing. But as I said, that's kind of the one where I played against Daegu. We had not such a good result, but you kind of think in your own head, well, okay, I might be on the bench at least, or I might start the game. And then you find out you're kind of out of the squad, so that's where you kind of a little bit quizzed and you're a little bit baffled because I guess it comes from left field, you don't expect it, and yeah, that's where you'd kind of want an explanation, but sometimes, as I said, certain coaches don't give that to you, and that's just part of football. You've got to move on with that. So, did I expect to potentially start the next game or be on the bench at least? Yeah, for sure I did, but it didn't go that way. I've got to accept that and move on. I think what I've learned here in Korea, especially, I think in life in general, is that you get kind of a big setback, and they're not, particularly here, I think, they're not looking for people to kick stones or complain or anything like that, because that's not how they want things done. That's not how they have their own culture. They want people to kind of react to that in a good way, and as the term goes, in a fighting spirit, right? Like they have that term, and so they want that fighting spirit to come along with you if there's a setback. So I think that's important, and as I said before, there's some things that I haven't agreed with, but you've got to accept it in time, move on, and just work hard, because that's the thing that they're kind of looking for. So once you do that, you kind of get their acceptance, and it's kind of one of them, I guess. And that's kind of the best way forward for a foreigner, I guess, in Korea.
I mean, it's always such big squads in K League, and that doesn't really help either. It's not just the foreigners who have one player who's in the team, then next week he's not. So, well, you mentioned the cup final. Obviously, when did you find out that you were starting that game?
So I mean, I played, as I said before, I played probably the last 3 or 4 months before that game leading up. So we had an ACL game between the last game of the season and the cup final. So it was basically whoever didn't travel to Japan in that midweek was going to play in the final. So when I found out I wasn't traveling to Japan, I just rang my parents and I said, hey, and my fiance, I said, hey, book a flight. Book flights, you're coming. So I think it was on that it would have been on the Sunday after we played the last game of the season that I found out. Obviously then you don't know you're 100% starting, but there's only 11 guys that didn't travel, so we were all, as we knew it, we all were going to play. So I rang my parents, rang my partner, and I said, book your flights, come to Korea quickly. So so that's when I found out, and then that kind of whole week was it was an interesting lead up. I'd won a cup in Australia, but I think the lead up here was a lot different. I guess playing against Ulsan as well, our biggest rivals, and being in a cup final, again, it was our chance to go number 6 for the club, so I think that was a really important one. And we didn't finish the season as we kind of started it, and I think that was quite disappointing for the club in terms of the league. And to win the cup was kind of a saving grace. We'd finished 6th in the league. We wanted to finish kind of top 3, top 4. We were there or thereabouts. We dropped off at the end. So to win the cup got us into the ACL Two. As I said, it made history for the club, and provided us with a platform to kick on for this season, really. But what an amazing night against Ulsan, the fans. It was one for the fans, really.
And it was the first time they'd gone back to just a single leg final as well. So obviously being in a neutral venue at a big stadium, it was a good crowd.
Great.
What an experience that must have been. I mean, and obviously the first season in K League to win a trophy. Obviously, you didn't play as much as you would have wanted, but that must have been a perfect way to sort of end that first season.
I think kind of the first 6 months when it kind of wasn't going the way I kind of had envisaged when I signed, one of the fitness coaches was telling me, it's important the way you end. It's not so much how you start. People are going to remember how you end. I kind of kept taking that with me, and when the club kind of stood by me, I tried to keep taking that with me every day, trying to work hard even if I wasn't in the squad. And as I said, when it started to fall for me the last 3 or 4 months of last season, I kept remembering that and kept taking that into every game, every training. It's important the way you end. And yeah, the way it ended was with the final, and at the end of the day, that's what most people, if not everyone, remembers really. So for our club, for the fans and everyone else, so I kept taking that little message every single week, and yeah, it ended the way he kind of said it, which was amazing, kind of the best possible end. To win a cup here, to win a cup in Australia, which I always say no one's done, so no Australian's done. But couldn't have envisioned it to end any better, to be honest.
Big party afterwards?
There wasn't. We had a game on the Tuesday.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Against Vissel Kobe. Right. So we wanted to. So I ended up. It was kind of bittersweet because we lift the trophy. We celebrate on the pitch. My family's there, and my family flew out that night. So their flight got a little bit. So the flights to Australia go back about 10 p.m, 11 p.m. So it kind of worked out really well. So they flew out, and because we had the game on the Tuesday, the bus took us straight back to Pohang. And by 2-3 a.m, I'm back in my apartment, and I'm just sitting there like I've got this medal around my neck, and I'm like, I'm having dinner, and I'm like, oh okay,
did that just happen?
Yeah, like it doesn't. It was just another. It felt like just another game. It didn't feel like we'd won a cup and there's all this euphoria and all that sort of stuff. So just sitting on my lounge, like, oh okay, I'll just go to bed. You know, like, because my partner went back to Australia, my parents went back, so I went back on my own, and it's kind of like, oh, right, just wake up tomorrow morning, let's do it all again on Tuesday.
Was it at least an end of season do or not? Like an end of season?
The Korean boys organised something, and they invited all the foreigners. But given that we only had probably 3 to 4 weeks off in the off season, all of us foreigners wanted to kind of get home as quickly as we could. So the end of season do was probably a day or two after the Tuesday. But we all flew out on that Wednesday because, as I said, we only had 4 weeks off. We wanted to make the most of everything. So the Koreans did something.
In terms of the match itself, obviously it's against Ulsan, like you said, biggest rivals. Were you nervous? Was there a bit of nerves, or were you?
Yeah, I think that. I was, and I think that's kind of normal. I think. I think my experience leading up to that in Korea, playing against Ulsan, my last game before that against Ulsan, I got sent off, and so I was kind of nervous about how I was going to approach the game and being a final. Like I said, I'd been in a final in Australia. But nowhere near the kind of built up, the crowd, the intensity of the game, the quality of the team that we were playing against. So it kind of didn't prepare me for another final in Korea, in that sense. But I think as an athlete in any sport, you're nervous about what's going to happen, or the outcome and your performance. But I think as long as your kind of preparation is kind of good before and the lead up's kind of good, which it was for us, we had a kind of very relaxed week. We knew we were good enough to beat them. We had beaten them in the season already, so we knew we could do it against them. We had all our fans right there behind us. So from that perspective, I think us as a team, we were nervous, but so probably were they. And that's all part of being in a cup final, right? But I mean, the way it ended, like the way that game ended, I mean, just wild. One all. It's almost like synonymous of a Korean match, really. Like 1-1, dying embers. We score a goal, and we score one right at the end, and the referee just calls it. Synonymous of a game in Korea, really.
And Hyunjae, I think his family are from Ulsan.
He's from Ulsan, so it was a big moment for him. But mate, I always say to my partner, like, it's just in that moment when the ref blows the whistle, and I kind of last season had kind of been in now the team and now the squad and on my own, so it's kind of every emotion just kind of released at that point. But yeah, what a night for the club and everyone involved. Well, great night.
You mentioned the fans before, at the Steel Yard in particular, but what do you think of the fan culture here? Because it's very positive, isn't it? You don't really get dogs abuse like you would in the UK over in Europe.
No, it's no. I mean, our fans. I mean, I can speak for our fans. They're incredible. Like the support they give us. We, of course, there's moments where I think they're disappointed. We went on a run last year. We lost 6 in a row. That kind of derailed us a bit. And at the end of the 6th game, we were playing away in I think it was Gwangju, and the fans kind of confronted us. That was the first time I kind of seen the fans behind the goal. They were speaking to the coach and they were speaking to Wonderson as he was the captain. And really annoyed, but kind of before that, it was very positive. We've had a lot of games we lost 2-1, 1-0, and they were very positive. Like I think in other countries, like you said, you'd be getting dogs abuse if you lose 1-0 and you didn't put in effort. And I think the biggest thing, they just wanted to see you, put in that effort, put in that fighting spirit. Because if you don't, then it's kind of defeats the whole purpose of why they pay their money to come watch you play, right? And that's, like I said, especially for our fans, they come away to parts of the country where it's far away for them. It's 2 or 3 hours drive. It's not easy to get to. You know, we played away in Gimpo in the FA Cup, and the whole behind the goal in Gimpo was our fans. Yeah. Just on a Tuesday night. Yeah. Like just amazing. You know, so. And again, they're not people from Seoul, so they've got a bundle of money. Like they're from a smaller city where they've got to work hard. They're blue collar people, and mate, they always turn up. They're always there. But yeah, it's so positive, mate. Our fans particularly, they expect a lot too, though. Like they've seen a lot of success. Yeah. And they always see Pohang in the top 6 at least. Yeah. They always see Pohang fighting in the FA Cup, so they're rightly disappointed that we got knocked out early. And they're always expecting Pohang to at least be competing in an ACL or in the league. So they've got expectations too. But as you said, positive in if we do lose a game, that they're behind us. But if they don't see that effort, then they'll let us know in some way. Yeah. Well,
form's quite good at the moment as well. They're sort of slowly getting back up towards top 3 and 4.
Yeah, we started the season very slow. We had a good pre-season, but we came in and we started very slow for whatever reason. And it's taken us time to kind of get into some good form. We haven't lost too many games, I don't think, in the last few months. We've won a lot, we've drawn a few, and that's kind of how we were last year. We became this team that was hard to beat, especially in the first 8 months of last season. We became a team that was hard to beat, especially on our home patch, and our away forms improved this season. So yeah, we're coming good now. Hopefully it can keep continuing. Obviously we mentioned these breaks that are coming up, so it doesn't help with your momentum, but all you can do is win and keep winning games, that even if there are 2 or 3 week breaks, all you can do is keep winning, right? And so we're starting to hit our straps, which is great.
Yeah, hopefully that form, that momentum can kind of build before the ACL Two, because if your ACL Two will start in September. Obviously it's still quite a long way away really before that all begins, but has it been talked about internally about this is a target for us to go on and win, or is that kind of a given at a club like Pohang?
Yeah, to be honest, we haven't spoken about it. The only thing we spoke about before the start of the season was being up there in the league. Yeah. We knew from our experience last year, especially with this coach, that we could be there. Yeah. And around September, October, we just fell off. So we knew we could be there with the best teams. And this season now, with Ulsan kind of not being as strong as what they are, Jeonbuk kind of kicking on, we know that we can go toe-to-toe with those sort of teams. We beat Daejeon the other week, so we know we can go toe-to-toe with those teams. That was kind of the ambition. After we won the FA Cup, we thought, you know what, like we're capable of winning things. We know we're capable of being up there. We just need to do that as hard as it is, and that's what it takes to win a league for 12 months. You need to do that for 12 months. K League's such a long season. We start in mid-February, finish in late October. Like, it's a really long season, so to sustain it mentally is quite difficult, but Yeah, the club's, for the most part, always been in around top 3, top 4, top 5, for as long as in recent history anyway. So they've got a history of that. There's an expectation, as I said, from the fans, from the owners, from the club, that they want us in that high position. So yeah, as you said, I think it's just an expectation from the club, really.
Well, obviously, I think I'm right in saying that you made your Champions League debut against FC Seoul many years ago. Is that right? 2014 was it?
Oh, not for Pohang.
No,
in general. Yeah, 2014 against Seoul.
Yes. What was that like? How old were you?
I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah, so I played against. I think it was. Is it Tae-ha?
Yeah.
Striker.
Yeah.
Osmar was playing at the back. Who else was playing? No, not Molina.
Molina might have been there.
Maybe he left. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And the coach, I remember, because he came up to me after that game. I remember, because he knew I was really young, and he just said, "Oh, good game."
Oh yeah.
But he was an older. I can't remember his name.
2014.
It's an older guy, very experienced coach.
Tae-ha, I think maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, was it Hang? Yeah, it must have been Tae-ha, the guy who was at Gangwon for a bit, and then
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember him distinctly, but it's just, mate, that was such a good team.
Yeah.
Such a good team. We drew 1-1 with them that night, but again, like I said, playing for an Australian team against the Korean teams, like you're on red alert all the time as a defender. Like you've got to be switched on, and you come out of the game feeling exhausted. And that was kind of the first taste I got of like continental football, playing against a Korean team, and then later we played against Japanese teams. So yeah, my first real taste, which is amazing.
You mentioned it earlier as well, like the game in 2017, the 3-2. I was at that game actually.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
But that was obviously the first time I think you'd have played in a K League stadium.
Yeah.
Did that make you think, I wouldn't mind a bit of this?
Yeah. No, it did. I remember leaving the stadium thinking like the fans were amazing behind the goal, just chanting all game. You leave. I mean, we won, so you've got this like ulterior better feeling anyway. So you leave the stadium having this positive feeling anyway. But like the quality of the other team, although we won, like Seoul, I remember that night we were playing so well too. But the fans, the big stadium, and lucky enough to have played in that stadium now a few more times, so I've had that kind of dream, I guess, come to fruition, which has been great. But a good night that one too. Surprised you in the stadium.
Yeah, well, it's kind of came full circle, because obviously you played that ACL game 2017, then you win the FA Cup with Pohang.
It's funny.
Quite a few years later, it's funny how football works out.
Funny, very funny. Very funny how it all comes back around, and just very, very funny. You have those. You listen to football games, like you listen to commentary, and there's like these weird stats about different players, and it was the first time I played in Korea. And then to win a final in our stadium, just very funny how life comes around.
We played against Ulsan, obviously, but that was in
the hub.
Yeah. What was the hub kind of situation like?
It was really tough. We stayed with 2 other Australian teams in the same hotel. Yeah, so you basically just go from training back to the hotel to the games. We're playing every 3 days. We played Ulsan twice. Again, like such difficult games. I still talk about it with one of the boys in Pohang, Kim In Song. He scored against us. Still gives me crap about it all the time. But he's like, remember I scored against you? Yeah, thanks mate, thank you. Cheers. They scored in the last minute, they won. And it doesn't let me live it down. But it was difficult. The hub was difficult. We confined to the hotel for 3 weeks, and Melbourne Victory, they progressed, so they stayed in there for another week. So you got a month pretty much confined to a hotel, training ground, and couldn't do much, mate. But it was an interesting time, wasn't it, Calver? And we had to play because competitions had to go ahead. And there was no fans, so that was another interesting one. But an amazing, again, like one experience I can kind of draw back on, and just probably maybe never happen again. Really.
Did you find that because there were no fans? Once you get into 75 minutes, 80 minutes, when you need that little bit of a push, that it was a bit difficult to keep going.
It was, because as you said, you play in certain stadiums in front of certain fans, and they kind of push you. That you can feel the momentum behind you, and that's what I love about Steel Yard. You have that pressure, you have that momentum in the last 10 minutes. If you're in the game or you're winning, they kind of push you on. But as I said, mate, for a year and a half there, 2 years, we're just all around the world. There's just no one in the stadium. It's very, very eerie. You can hear everyone talking. Hear the sound of the ball. It's just very, what your coach is saying from the sideline, screaming across the field, even though you don't want to hear it. You can hear the fans in row one. So just all these crazy experiences, mate. That it just shows that kind of without the fans, the atmosphere, the feeling for the game is kind of gone, because if they're not there making that noise, we spoke about the fan culture here in Korea. If they're not here, then it kind of kills the atmosphere of the game, really. So then it just feels like training at some points. So very interesting time, wasn't it?
One more thing I want to ask you. Obviously, we talked about it downstairs, but the AFC rule has been scrapped in K League, and that was, A League and the J League was the two sort of markets that the K League would go out trying to fill that spot. From what you've sort of heard from us Australian players, is there a concern then that this option is no longer going to be there to come over to K League?
I think it's a big concern, to be honest. I think, as I said, for Australian guys, it was an avenue to come to Korea. I mean, it was my avenue. The club was able to use the AFC rule on me to bring me to the club. As I said, fortunately enough, last year ended the way it did, and I had some success at the club, and I was able to get a new contract even without the rule. So that's been fantastic. But I think for others, Australians trying to come to Korea, from what I'm hearing from concerns about from other players trying to get to Korea, it's becoming quite difficult. Now to be here and with Aaron, recently leaving Tae-ha, to be the only Australian in K1, I think that's kind of it's a good moment for me. But then also it is a concern for other Australians, to see that last season there was probably 7 or 8 in the K1, off the top of my head maybe, and now there's only one. So it's it is a bit of a worry, I think, for Australians, and we know that the league is a really, really good league. It's a step up, and it provides that avenue to step forward into Japan, into Middle East, into other countries. So to have that kind of avenue blocked, almost. I wouldn't say it's completely blocked. I still think that some Australians can still come in. Some Australians that are still playing in the K2 that have been signed this season. But to answer your question, I think it is a bit of a concern for Australian players, but it's not completely out of the question. But it does make it a little bit more tricky, to be honest.
To me, I just think it diversified the signings that teams would make, because now obviously the trend is to just sign Brazilians. So you sign Brazilians, most if not all are forward players. So when you do that, then young domestic players are going to have limited opportunities, right? If you sign a Japanese midfielder or Australian centre back or whatever, it's a bit of a it's a bit different.
Gives the local players some more opportunity. I agree. And to be honest, that's a problem we've had in Australia too. We've had for many years now, until recently, until the last probably 2 or 3 years, we've had probably a lack of young Australian number 9s playing in the A League for that exact reason, because the clubs would just go and get foreign number 9s, and that's fantastic because they bring value to the league. They'd score 20 or 30 goals per season, and they'd bring excitement, and they'd bring energy, and bring people to the stadium. And then the negative of that was young Australian strikers weren't getting opportunity. So now national team suffered for that, and so post-COVID now, we've seen, you know, like a lot of young Australian strikers playing because the clubs now can't afford to bring such high-profile foreigners in. So it's been great, but you're right, here in Korea, if there's a foreigner starting up front, it kind of diverts the opportunity for a Korean to play, and then that affects the national team. But yeah, just is again, it's what it is. They've kind of cancelled that rule, but yeah, there's still heaps of good Korean strikers that are doing well at the moment. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, mate, thank you very much for your time.
No, all good, mate.
Appreciate it.
Very nice to come on the podcast, and yeah, glad that we were able to meet up face to face.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.